And happy Wednesday. We would like to offer a land acknowledgement before we begin with today's program. The Fresno State campus sits in the midst of the San Joaquin Valley, a valley rich in the traditions and representation of Native American peoples and cultures. We're grateful to be in the traditional homelands of the Yokuts and Mono peoples, whose diverse tribal communities share stewardship over this land. Once again, everyone, my name is Esteban Parra Guerrero. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I serve as a coordinator for gender and LGBTQ plus programs and services. And I also support the Men's Success Initiative at the Fresno State Cross Culture and Gender Center. I would like to now introduce our Emcees for today's program, Alejandro Llamas and Daniel Gomez. Thank you.
Thank you, Esteban. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Alejandro Llamas. I am the program coordinator working alongside with Esteban with the Mental Test Initiative, and it's such an honor. My pronouns are he, him, his, él. Now I'm going to pass it on to our other MC, Daniel.
All right, well, hello everyone. Jay Daniel Gomez. I am a career advisor at the Career Development Center here at Fresno State, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. And I am really excited for this programming today. This is a collaboration between the Career Development Center and the Cross Culture and Gender Center, the first of many that we hope to come in the future. And I wanted to kick us off with some of the purpose and the reasoning behind this type of event. So research states that men of color are not graduating and being retained at the same rates as other populations of college students. In addition, men, particularly men of color, do not utilize services like the Career Center as other groups. So our purpose today is to have a conversation and learn about these great alumni's experiences during their college journeys and how they navigated not only pursuing their degree, but also engaging in career development. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it back to Alejandro, and we'll get the panel started.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Daniel. So once again, I want to remind everyone that we will be going through our panel, asking some questions around. But if you have questions at any time, we recommend you to write it down. At the end of our panelists, we will have some Q&A available for y'all to put it. So now, without any further ado, I want to introduce you, but I want to have every single one of y'all to introduce yourselves. If you can please say to our panelists, if you can say your name, your pronouns, the degree you earned, graduation year, and then your current position in your company. So I'll pass the mic to Galil, if you want to start us off.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jalil Dillard. My pronouns are he, him, his. I graduated with a degree in agricultural business in 2019. Currently, I am a sales development representative at Series Imaging, a realtor and a serial entrepreneur. Yeah, excited to be here.
And sorry, Miguel, if you don't mind, really quick, mention the internships you participated in. I forgot to mention that part.
Yeah, a few of the internships I participated in during my undergrad. My freshman year, I did an internship at the Morningstar Company, which is the largest tomato paste processor in the world, I believe now. I did a research and development internship for them for a summer. The next summer, I interned at DOSTA Ag. I managed over 100 acres of row crops and a team of about 6 people. And then for the next 2 years, I actually moved down to Mexicali, Mexico, in the Imperial Valley, where I led a team of 30 to 40 primarily Spanish-speaking people harvesting onions and garlic. And I moved down to Mexico in the Imperial Valley. Yeah, excited to share a little bit about my experiences with you all.
Absolutely, thank you. Miguel, would you mind sharing?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Miguel Bueno. My pronouns are he, him, his. I majored in, I did 2 majors at Fresno State when I was there. So I did a BA in economics and a BS in mathematics with an option in statistics. My graduation year officially was 2019, and my current position is a quantitative management associate at Bank of America, where I basically help validate statistical models for the bank. And while I was at Fresno State, the internship that I completed was one with the Office of Institutional Effectiveness, which is basically the office at Fresno State that does research related to the institution. So it was an amazing opportunity, lasted a year and a half, and I'm very, very grateful for everybody on that team. So yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Dr. Zhang, do you mind continuing?
Yep, thank you. So Sua Zhang, I use he, him, his pronouns. I am a proud two-time alum of Fresno State. I received my bachelor's in psychology in 2009. I got my master's in counseling in 2011. And it was during my master's program that I completed two internships. And so one was with the TRIO Educational Talent Search Program. So working with incoming or prospective college students who are first generation college students and come from a low income family background. And then the other internship that I did during my master's program was with the Office of Student Involvement. So I did a lot of leadership programming for Fresno State students, undergrad and graduate students. And then I completed my PhD in higher education and student affairs from a joint doctoral program between San Diego State and Claremont Graduate University. And that was only about 2 years ago, 2019. And then now I'm excited because it's coming full circle where now I get to come back, and I'm currently a professor, an assistant professor here at Fresno State. I teach and I coordinate the Student Affairs and College Counseling program, which is the same master's program that I graduated from.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Jaime, what do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name's Jaime Murguia. I use pronouns he, him, his. I graduated Fresno State in 2020 with a civil engineering BS in civil engineering with an emphasis in structures and geotech, and a minor in construction management with heavy civil as an emphasis. I currently work for the Department of Defense and the United States Army Corps of Engineers as a civil engineer. My primary duty right now is dam safety modifications, which is we deal with 85% of the dams in the United States and make sure that they are sound for the country. I also do field engineering and project engineering. The internships I did when I was in college or when I was attending Fresno State were the Sierra National Forest civil engineer intern, where we assessed a variety of different bridges, structures, and roads for Sierra National Forest and Sequoia National Forest. I also helped the recruitment center in Fresno State with recruitment opportunities and inputting data for the incoming high school students. Yeah.
Well, thank you also for sharing the amazing work that y'all do and have done and continue to develop upon, and the different internships that y'all took on at Fresno State, and you had the opportunity to do so. Daniel, would you mind us introducing our first question for our panelists?
Sure thing. Yeah. So our first question is to learn more about our panelists. So if you don't mind sharing, could you please share your identities, and out of these identities, which ones are the most salient to you as you think of yourself and your career moves and how you see the world of work? So we'll begin started with Khalil this time.
Yeah, my identity is first and foremost, I'm a Haitian American. Struggles with my family and my people, they weigh heavy on me, and I want to make those people proud in my community. My identity is something that's constantly adapting and changing according to my environment and circumstances and happenings. And it's just important to me to be adaptable and taking setbacks and creating opportunities out of them. You know, for as long as I can remember, I often have been identified, and I do identify as a leader. People always chosen me to lead sports teams or different doings throughout my family and life, and I hold that close. And I want to make those people that have invested time into me and to my community proud. yeah, I just want to give back to the people that have given me so much. My mother, she was 13 years old when she had my brother and I, and so it really took a village of people to, teach us the importance of just giving back and, you know, keeping to move forward in life no matter what. So, yeah, I really identify as a Haitian American and a leader and a manifester and trailblazer. Definitely, those are, I hold those close to me.
Thanks for sharing that. And Jaime, we'll start with you now.
So my most salient, I guess, identity is as a son, brother, and a leader. I also like to do, I think myself as a mentor, not only to incoming people or students, but also to my family members. I know I have younger siblings, or I have younger cousins that look up to me, and I'm a first generation college student, and I know that is really loud in their eyes to see someone who came from nothing just move on and to try to go on into the STEM field and become someone important or valuable. I think one of the things why I decided to join the Corps was just to serve my community, my country. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Thanks for sharing. Miguel, do you mind going next?
Yeah, so some of my identities identify as first generation. Neither of my parents went to college, let alone high school. And I identify as Chicano. I identify as gay, male, and cisgender, so not trans. And I think out of all of those, I think the ones that are most salient to me are probably the first three, right? First gen, Chicano, and gay. First gen, of course, as I think most of us can relate to, being alumni of the university, there's a lot on your shoulders in whatever you do, internships, academia, or in the professional world, to not just succeed for yourself, but to succeed for your family. So that's pretty, I think that's present in everything that I do. Chicano, because it's something that I wear on my sleeve. Like anyone's ethnicity, it is ever present and cannot be hid. So that goes with me wherever I go, and including the workplace, right? And then gay as well, which is the opposite, right? It is something that does not have to be disclosed, but I take pride in disclosing it. And I think, I think many LGBT people can identify with the statement that you are forever coming out, right? That you don't just come out once to your friends or family, but you come out every time you have new colleagues, every time you're in a new classroom. It is, you have to decide whether you disclose that or not. And so I think that's why those three identities are the most salient for me.
Thank you, Miguel, for sharing that and how that helps you look into your career moves and your experiences. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Zhang, do you mind sharing your identities and which ones are the most salient to you?
Yeah, definitely. So I identify as Hmong, male, oldest son, also coming from a low-income family background. Similar to several of you have shared, I'm also a first-generation college student. But in addition to that, I was also the first in my family to go to college. And how some of these identities, and I'll draw upon the low-income first generation, first in my family. And because of that, when I was entering college, any and every program service that I qualified for, I applied for, took advantage of it. So I was part of the migrant education program in high school, continue that at Fresno State with the college assistance migrant program, back in the day, there was still also the University Migrant Services. I was a TRIO student, so from Upper Bound in high school to the TRIO Student Support Services program at Fresno State, to the McNair program. And then because all of these identities, that also led me to pursue the graduate degrees that I did to continue to support students who come from similar backgrounds to me. And so my whole professional background before becoming a professor, because I was part of all these different programs, I'd made sure that I work for them. That was my way of giving back to these programs, paying it forward to the students who also share similar backgrounds to me. So I work for the College of Systems Migrant Program. I work for the TRIO Educational Talent Search Program. And then after my master's program, I also work for the TRIO Student Support Services Program at Fresno State and at Reedley as well. So that's how these identities have shaped the type of degrees that I pursue and also the career pathway that I chose.
Wow, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I think sometimes we don't disclose that, right, in open forums, and you know, I just like you shared, when you are speaking, I connect to you on different levels, and I know probably audience members will do too. And from your experience coming from migrant backgrounds, camper students out there, I think Jaime and I were also campers, coming from single parent backgrounds as well, and our experiences are more connected sometimes than we think. So I'm gonna pass it to Alejandro for our next question.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you all for sharing. I think this next question I'm going to target more for Galil and Miguel. And the question goes, how did you learn about the importance of internships, and what barriers or what things did you have to consider prior to your pursuing them? I believe we dropped the question on the chat as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, throughout my life, my mother was so young, raising us, the community of people around us. They taught us the importance of building up your resume and gaining skills and being sort of a Renaissance person. So when I got to college and I met Mary Willis in the Career Development Center, she really taught me the importance of networking and building my resume. She sat down with me and she taught me how to build really what was my first resume outline that I still use till this day. I knew nothing really about the networking before I came to college, besides being the genuine outgoing person I was. And so when I did go to college, being the first one in my family that did that, I had no idea what to do. So I looked to other people for guidance at the Career Development Center. And especially during my final 2 years at Fresno State, when I had to leave my family, you know, in the summers, instead of going back home to go to move 10 hours away down in Mexico, my family depended on me heavily in one way or another. Financially, my mother was struggling. I still have a younger brother and sister who live with my mother, and I didn't know anyone in the region down there, and I struggled to process it. So during that time, I really just depended on resources that I had made on campus and friends to get through it. But I knew in one way or another that I needed to work my internships to network with different individuals and companies if I wanted to achieve, you know, my goals and make my family proud and get us all to a place, hopefully set that example for my younger brother and sister, my cousins, you know, so we can get to a place where we want to be in the future, hopefully. And yeah, I'm thankful that I did get the opportunity to work internships at some barriers and struggles for me. I'm an ag major. I'm African American. At most of the companies that I go to, I'm usually the youngest person at the company and the only African American at the company. There's typically no one that looks like me. And so I strive to put forward not just good work, but better work, so I can give the next person of color, the next African American man or woman, a equal or better opportunity. And I'm really grateful for that chance in the field of ag and in technology as well.
Yeah. So I think at the time while I was in school, I through the vast majority of my undergraduate education, I really didn't understand the importance of doing an internship. I think for many first-gen students, it kind of lingers in the back of their head that they know it's important, but they really cannot comprehend the true importance of it. In fact, the way I landed my internship is I was kind of actually coerced into it through my major. So the economics department, yeah, they have like a series of options you have to do as you approach your final year within the department. And one of those options, and perhaps the easiest option, is the internship. So I just need the credit, basically. So I started looking for an internship. Turns out it's a lot harder than I had anticipated. I thought someone was just going to give me one. But I ended up nailing the internship at OIE really through networking. Through Upward Bound, I had taught math over the summer through Upward Bound. And the people there, Ben Reynoso, Martina, and Walter are really, amazing people, recommended me along with some faculty in the math department to Matthew Zivit at OIE, and that's how I ended up getting that. And it's only really afterwards and now that I understand the importance of it. Just completely changed my career trajectory. It wasn't easy taking it though, right? Because as a student, it's hard to kind of recognize the importance of internships. So you're kind of concerned about your grades, and the internship does eat up at time you could be used studying. Transportation is really a huge issue as well, right? When you're doing an internship, especially if you don't have reliable transportation. Fax has gotten better, but still not that great. And pay, of course. So those were things that were major obstacles when it came to deciding to do an internship. But thankfully, because the internship was on campus and because it was paid, it kind of alleviated those burdens.
All right, folks, thanks for sharing about what was it to encounter the internships or realizing the importance of it, and some of the things you had to wager, right? My time helping my family, my time to my studies, and how do I squeeze an internship in the middle of that? To kind of build off on this topic, the next question is for Dr. Zhang and Jaime, and the question is the following. As a man of color, what were some of the adversities you faced while completing your internships?
So I can start off with that. I think following along with what some of the other panelists have shared, I think while there were many challenges along the way, I think one of the most prominent one was the financial issues and concerns and within my family. And so as the oldest son, I was also, like I said, the first to go to college, not only at the undergraduate level, but at the master's level. And so for me, the challenge was, it was hard seeing my parents, as coming from a farm working background, to see them in the hot summer triple digits working in the field. And so for me, it was like the longer that I go to school, the longer they're in the fields. And so for me, trying to find that balance where I should be contributing financially, helping them out, and so forth. But here I am, going for 2 more years of school for my master's program, which I've already spent 6 years at the undergrad level, so 8+ years, and who knows how many years before that throughout my whole K-12 journey as well. And so that was really important and a challenge for me. And so at the graduate level, similarly to Miguel, I wanted a program, a graduate program that has internship built in. So we had to find some internship experiences. And so luckily one of them was paid, the other one wasn't, but because throughout my undergraduate years at Fresno State, I was already involved with that center or that office, I was able to have a conversation with the director, and they found some funding to also provide me funding. So both of my internships ended up being paid internships. So it didn't pay a lot, but it was something to go along the way. But that was probably the most challenging part to it, is delaying my ability to support my parents or to take them out of the fields.
if I could piggyback with Dr. Yang, some of the struggles similar were family issues. Unfortunately for me, my family came from humble or lower income roots. So for me, an internship was mostly a form of me trying to get money to support myself. At the time when I was going to Fresno State, I was doing 2 internships at the same time, one with the recruitment and one with the National Forest. So between those 2 times, I had 0 time to study or do anything, and that would be consumed through the weekends. So one of the things I felt the most was not being able to see my parents as often as I wanted, even though I had a hour commute to their house. It was painful, especially when I had my sisters, if I can disclose, they were also Fresno State alumni, and they depended on me to have them to take them home. And it was hard to tell them, I can't take you this weekend, and I'm sorry you can't see our parents as frequently as you can because of me. And that was probably one of the hardest things coming up. Also, I had a positive experience though with my internships. We were all it was very diverse. Excuse me, sorry. It was a very diverse community, and I saw it as a building block where I saw different people of color in higher positions, and I strived to become someone in that position. Our forest engineer at the time, very nice gentleman, his name was Antonio Cabrera. Sorry. Came from humble beginnings, and I related to him, and he told us about his struggles coming from the fields and becoming in this position of power, and that resonated with me. Similarly with recruitment office, during that time it was under a man of color as well, and so just seeing them at that position made me want to become someone at their steps, or at their footsteps, follow their footsteps.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you both. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your upbringing and how that's really developed, and how family creates an important part. And absolutely. So that I have this next question for Galil and Miguel. Looking back at your college experience, how did you manage to invest time into internships while balancing college courses, family responsibilities, and probably even working 1 or 2 jobs?
Yeah, looking back now, I took it day by day. I worked internships and jobs throughout the year. I took 15 to 18 units a semester, and I worried about my family each and every day for what my mother was going through back home. And I can remember crying going through school, some nights wanting to go home and wanting to be able to support my family. And I knew that if I wanted to be in a position to do that one day, that I had to keep on going, that I had to persist and continue to, go to class and to pursue internships and to network and to get decent grades. But it was a struggle at times, so I had to take it day by day. And when it got hard, step back and take deep breaths and speak with my comfort group and my brother, and they really held me accountable. That community of people that I was raised by, and I'm really grateful for that, because it was real tough making it through, not being able to see the people that I had grown up with every day for the last 18 years. My brother was all the way, he was at Chico State at the time. And so it was just new. Everything was new for me during college. And being the first one in my family to do it, I really had no one to speak with about it. pay for college or even working jobs. Believe it or not, people in my family have not had jobs. So it was really new. And for me, I sought after people who had similar experiences, people that look like me through in college. And I'm really grateful for that. But I took it day by day and made sure to recognize when I needed to take a step back and breathe and maybe even speak to someone.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of sacrifice. It was also kind of hard explaining to my family why I couldn't see them all the time. And that was unfortunate. But it's kind of the thing that comes along with being a first generation college student. They just generally can't understand how much work you have to do inside and outside of the classroom. I think the way that I dealt with it, though, is I tried to the best of my ability and to as much life would let me, combining responsibilities. So like I said, I double majored, right? So I tried my best to make sure that like my majors lined up where I could take courses that related to both majors. I also was in the McNair program, so I had to complete like an undergraduate thesis basically. And I tried my best to bring it to work to ask you're working with a bunch of statisticians, so that worked nicely. I also tried double counting my internship for my math degree. I tried everything that I could to make sure that I was killing two birds with one stone in whatever I was doing. Of course, it's not always that easy. During the summer, I remember I would go work at OIE for 8 hours. And during my 1 hour lunch break, I would run and go teach math for Upward Bound. And I would just eat literally like running from like the classroom on campus, to upstairs on the 3rd floor of the Henry Madden Library. So it was really hard. But like I said, I managed that mostly by trying to the best of my ability, combine responsibilities. Killing two birds with one stone, it's not always possible, but when it is, it'll save you a world of hurt, because otherwise it's gonna be very hard. So I suppose that's how I managed.
When you guys were speaking right now, I was thinking back of my undergrad years and riding a longboard on campus, just trying to get from point A to point B as soon as possible to have some time for a snack or take a breather, right? And from class to a part-time job or to an internship during my experience as well. And something you said, Miguel, two birds with one stone, I heard it as work smarter, not harder. And I think as soon as I realized, kind of connecting to your stories, that I didn't have to do everything by myself. I didn't have to go through it alone. There's people like me, there's people going through it too. And connecting to folks really helped me out and see things that I wouldn't see before. So, thank you for sharing your experiences and how you were managing that. So the next question goes to Dr. Jean and Jaime. So, and the question goes as the following. What impact did internships have on your career? And looking back or looking at colleagues at your current level, have you noticed any differences in your professional path compared to others, paths that folks that didn't engage in internships?
Yes, I can start with that. So I think when it comes to my graduate internship experiences, I think it was very important. So like I said, I took part in 2 internships, and I did them for my whole entire 2 years of my graduate program. So although we technically didn't start interning in our graduate program until our 2nd year, I went ahead and just got started my 1st year of the graduate program and just stayed with those 2 same programs or offices for my whole entire 2 years. And the reason why it was important was because as I was finishing up my master's program, one of my current directors at the time let me know about an opportunity off campus with another TRIO program, saying, I know you're going to be graduating. So-and-so just got hired on as the director of this TRIO program at this campus. They're looking for a counselor, and I think you would be great. You should follow up. And because I followed up, from that conversation, I followed up, and then everything was, everything just kind of fell in place. Did the interview, got hired, and most importantly, I got hired before I graduated. So I knew I had a job lined up in my field as a counselor where I was getting my training in before I graduated. And I think that that was one of the key things in terms of what I saw in comparison to other peers who were in graduate programs who didn't have an internship built in, may or may not have the experiences. And so in regards to the internship, what I would say is, or how important it is for me at the graduate level, was your degree, I wrote down here, is only one aspect of it. Your degree alone will not get you hired. And so in addition to the degree, relevant experiences and skills are also equally, if not more important, in terms of securing a position in your career. And that's what the internship allowed me to do, was to not only enter the profession, but also secure something before I graduated.
No, definitely. I 100% agree with Dr. Zhang. Sorry if I'm butchering it. And that's similar with the engineering aspect of, or at least in my career path with engineering, we definitely wanted people with field experience or design experience before we can, at least the way it was explained to me when I got hired on, is you can be book smart as much as you want. However, at least in a technical field as civil engineering, you need to practice your technical skills in the field and know what's going on. How do you know certain technical fields, like what a sieve analysis is, a density test, stuff that you hear in books, but you've never seen in your life. So a short story, if I have the time, I fortunately landed my internship with the Forest Service, and I wasn't doing much at first, but eventually I started proving myself and started getting into more of these technical fields. It's technical designs. Whereas I had one of my good friends in college, we'll call him Sancho for PII. So Sancho didn't believe in working during college. He was a straight A student, 4.0, but he was more interested in focusing on studying than actually getting the experience. I struggled throughout my college career with two jobs and going and passing my engineering courses. However, when it came to graduating, I had already built this network up with different agencies. And luckily for me, at the time of my last semester at Fresno State, I got noticed by the Army Corps, and they offered me a position even before I graduated. It wasn't until later that I found out that Sancho unfortunately didn't get a job, and it was a variety of factors, but one of the biggest ones that played a role was his lack of technical experience with field or design work. So out of both of us, even though I struggled academically, I still got my degree, but I got my experience, and that was outstanding to my employer at the time. And so Sancho's fine. We were able to arrange something for him, and we got him positioned with the Army Corps. But it really does come to play at the end when you finish your degree. College is more than just your degree. It's actually applying your degree or trying to figure out what you want to do with it and getting exposed to different experiences. Maybe it's not what you want to do, but it's something you know you don't want to do. So it's affected me in that way.
No, absolutely. I can definitely relate as well. And thank you all so much for sharing. And really emphasizing that not only is this a degree for our students that are doing their undergrad, it's not only they're obtaining their degree, but they're obtaining many skills. One of those skills is networking, because you never know where that networking experience can lead you up to. It can be your next job. It can be along your journey, another experience. So absolutely. So thank you all. Thank you both. So for this next question, I want to invite all our panelists to answer, which is in closing. What advice would you give men or men of color watching this webinar right now in regards to internships and career development? And I'll start off with Galil. I'll have it out with you, and then we'll continue it.
Yeah, my advice would be to keep moving forward, take control of your life, your career, your educational journey, your situation, and take advantage, take control of it, keep moving forward, and go after every opportunity that you can. Network, really get to know your peers and the community of people that you're surrounded by. Working, doing an internship, like we've all said, is a really critical part of your college experience. And that time you spend networking in college, meeting people, building your resume will pay off in your future. So take control of your experiences now, your journey now, and in the future, you definitely will find success.
I guess I could leave off with two pieces of advice. I suppose the first would be something I think we've all kind of touched on, which is when you're looking for internships and getting ready to graduate and start your career, really utilize your resources, right? If you're in EOP, if you're in camp, if you're in McNair, utilize those resources. Whatever program that you have access to, utilize it. Utilize the Career Center, utilize the business office. It's all accessible to you right now as a student. And it's much easier to take advantage of those resources now than when you graduate. I think and utilize your community, right? So people in your community may have access to resources that you are previously unaware of, right? So I think that's really important. And I guess the last piece of advice is not to be so hard on yourself, right? I think as men of color, we're kind of used to being, taking care of our families and really kind of leading the way. And it could be a little disheartening whenever people who don't identify as first generation college students or who have more privilege nab positions and opportunities that we think that we're not good enough for, right? Just keep in mind, that I think those people have a lot more resources at their disposal. I don't know. I don't think anybody here has like a mom who's like a VP at Ulta Beauty or something, right? Or like has a dad who's a professor or something, right? So don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself a break, utilize your resources and community, and eventually things will come your way with hard work.
And then I'll jump in. So I'm going to take this from the Nike slogan. I'm just going to say, just do it. I think whether it's co-curricular experiences, volunteer experiences, internship experiences, and many of these things that I just listed, you may or may not be financially compensated for it. But something that I always tell all my students and everybody that I work with is like, it's the acronym PIE, P-I-E. You're being paid in experience. And these experiences and the skill sets that you develop through these opportunities will actually help open more doors down the line. And so I'll just say, just do it. Seek experiences and opportunities to develop and enhance your relevant skill sets for your profession. And then the last part is do good work. So one is to develop and enhance those skill sets, but also do good work. And when you do good work, others will take notice. And these additional opportunities down the line will take care of themselves when you continue to do good work, because people will take notice, doors will open up, because you have not only the skill sets and the experiences, but also the quality of work that you produce will be noticed.
I think for my end, one of the biggest things is don't be afraid to be rejected. there's going to be several opportunities that you're going to apply to. You might not get them, but it shouldn't be a disencouragement to not continue applying. And that's fine. Even if you apply and you get the position that you want, you might even find out you don't even like what you're doing. And that's fine. That's all about experiences. And it's all about realizing that, you know, maybe this is not the direction I want to go, or maybe this is a real direction I want to go. But it's mostly the purpose of the internship is to develop your skills and to expose you to the different areas and where you want to end up in your career path. And secondly, like Dr. Young says, I resonate a lot with what he says. Do a great job. Honestly, there's nothing better than knowing that the intern's doing a better job than someone that's, you know, a full-time position employee. And it stands out, and that's what gets people recognized, gets you networking, gets you going. And next thing you know, you're landing that full-time position, or you're getting someone else, a contractor, or someone of the competition is hearing from your great work, and it's just putting you out there. Those are the two biggest pieces of advice that I can give, and just network. It's always about networking. Never burn a bridge too early. It's not as good as you think it would be. Maybe you hold a grudge or something, but just keep it to yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, Alejandro and I will I think we got 2 questions that for the panelists, but everything you guys were saying, man, 100%. I think I was nodding this whole talk and just, you know, kind of commenting things in there. What you guys said about when you show up to your internships or your places of work, you know, I was told, especially when you're interning, you're interviewing. You are interviewing at your site when you're an intern, and many internships could lead to a full-time job. I interned at the Career Center and it led to a full-time job. So there you have it. I think a lot of us can relate to those experiences. To just, you know, show up, be there, be present, take advantage of the opportunity and show what you got. You know, and you guys are going to do great. So with that being said, I think Alejandro, do you mind reading the first question that we got?
Absolutely. Yes. And the question could be for you all. You all can definitely pick at it. So as a man of color, what were some of the adversities you faced while completing your internship?
And I think
I know some of you all answered that question. So for those who didn't actually get a chance to pick at it, like what were some adversities that y'all faced?
and let me see.
And then some of y'all, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, and I think, you know, since most of them have addressed it, I think we addressed that one through the other questions. Let's go ahead to the next one.
Yes.
I think there is one live here on the screen. And it says, what advice do you have for a student choosing between nonprofit or government job opportunities? And along the way, the lines, have you had an experience when to say no to when an opportunity came up?
If I could chime in on this one. It kind of depends. So it depends on your need. Do you need technical experience to build a resume? In that case, then you can always do volunteer work. However, if you need financial, even though it's not kind of in what you want to do, you got to make sure you take care of yourself or take care of others. At least from my perspective, that's how I see it. But if you can do both, I mean, why? And you have the time, why not?
And just to put in perspective, I think the student mentioned, and I didn't see that until now, health science major in his 4th year. So I think, Jovan, if you want to connect with the Career Center, we can give you more specific advice. We have someone dedicated in our team for allied health and health careers. So definitely connect with us, use those resources that Miguel mentioned. We're here to help you with that and other career questions. But go ahead.
I'd like to share a tip or strategy that I use when saying no in the corporate world to still keep connections or I guess mentors or opportunities open as a young person just entering that world. I'll use your name, Javon. I'm flattered that you considered me, but unfortunately at this time, I'll have to pass on the opportunity. It's just a polite way to say thank you for considering me to do whatever project is at hand, but at this time, you don't have the time and you'll have to pass. It gives you the opportunity to come back in the future to maybe ask for another option. Oh, do you still need assistance in this area or this area? As a young person, I find myself constantly reaching out, extending a hand, but constantly saying no because I don't have the time. And it doesn't mean that, that you're uninterested or that you're unavailable. It can mean no for any reason, whatever your reason may be. Great question. Thank you for asking.
If I could jump in, I think as a follow-up, because I've been in a similar scenario where, sometimes you're applying to more than one internship or more than one role at the same time. You get both offers and you need to say no to one of them, right? You may have had a great interview, great conversation, hit it off, want to grab a beer with that person later, blah, 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 right? I think that what I tend to do is I tend to add them on LinkedIn, right? Just so that they can stay within my network. It's a lot easier for the person to remember me if I'm on their LinkedIn network and for me to remember them than if a year from now I need them and I send them an email, they're not going to know who I am, right? So that's what I tend to do, and it's been amazingly successful so far. If I don't take the position, I try to suggest people who can and who would also be great candidates, right? It helps my colleagues and my friends, but it also helps them in their business. And I think places really tend to appreciate that.
And Miguel, thank you for bringing that up. LinkedIn, for those of you in the audience, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're missing out. It is a great place to network, like a lot of the panelists are mentioning, and opportunities literally could come your way by being connected. And yeah, similarly, if you're not available, maybe you know someone who's searching for an opportunity, now you are a bridge to them. So with that being said, was there any other questions, Alejandro, from the group?
Let me check the chat real quick. I think we did have one anonymous question, which is, what are your thoughts on non-paid internships? Have you all give your own thoughts or opinions into those? You probably can break down the positives and some negative on it. Or
I think it depends on who you are and what you want to get from the company, what you're expecting to get out of the internship. If you're able to take on an unpaid internship, personally, I was not able to take on an unpaid internship because I needed the money. I would say 18 to 20, 21-year-old college student that was supporting myself, paying my own way through college. So I couldn't afford to work for free. Now, after college, after and starting my own business, now I do extend my time for free just so I can gain more experience, network with people, and make more connections. And I have more time and I have more ability to do that now that I've graduated and have started working and whatnot.
thank you.
And if I can just add to that, I think that's one of the key things is that your financial situation. And so I think you're going to have to really visit that in terms of if this is an investment that I can take on. And so like in my profession in student affairs, if you, at the undergraduate level, if you have no experience in student affairs, oftentimes the entry point into the field is volunteer work or doing something within student affairs, whether it's study abroad, undergraduate research, participating with the student government, leadership programs. So oftentimes the entry point in this profession is through volunteer work, and that would transition to internship opportunities, paid, non-paid, and it will just continue to trickle on because in our profession, many of our entry-level positions required at least 2 years of experience. And so you have to start developing those skill sets early on in your undergraduate career. And then eventually towards the end, then you can land some paid internships while you're in undergrad, as you consider graduate programs, graduate schools. And you might want to also consider graduate programs that actually have internships or graduate assistantships built in, so you can continue building those skill sets.
Preach, fellas, preach, preach. With that being said, I think we addressed all the questions. I do want to be respectful for everybody's time. So at this moment, I'd like to just invite Esteban into the screen, and just from my end, it's been a pleasure partnering with the Cross Culture and Gender Center on this type of programming and hearing experiences that sometimes are not shared with our students, and that we were able to record this to share with our future students when we, these questions come up. How do I do this? I don't know anybody that's done this before, and now we can, amplify these voices and share those experiences. So at least on my end, I connected to almost everything everybody said as a man of color going through college and in my experience. So I know that other students will relate to as well. So I'm going to pass it over to Esteban for any closing comments, but from the Career Development Center, thank you all panelists. And it's been a pleasure hearing from you.
Thank you, Daniel. And once again, thank you everyone for being here today. As always, please reach out, right? You have Miguel here. Daniel, sorry. Miguel, I just relate to you a lot, your story, being a member of the LGBTQ+ community myself, but I related to each and one of you to a certain extent, right? And I wish I could go back to my freshman year and, get involved and get into internships, but, I'm here now and I love what I do. So I'm sure the process would have been easier if I would have done internships during my undergrad. So thank you everyone for being here today, and we will be sending the assessment link by the end of this week. So thank you everyone, and have a great Wednesday.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thanks for helping me co-host.
Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.